notes and coins available on people's hand, you call it what? Money supply. Notes and coins circulating in the economy on people's hand, you call it what? Money supply. Now, for example, Malli, don't get scared, I'm straight, right? It's just that I'll be holding your hands for the next 2 minutes, right? So you don't have to get scared. That is it. Brother touch. Sama bad touches. Our uncle, right? So your hands are shivering, bro. Don't get scared, bro. I told you I'm straight. Okay. So people, what happens is, right? This is Zaid's money, right? Now he has what? Notes. He has certain level of money supply. What is money supply? Notes and coins on people's hand, circulating in the economy. So you also will have money. You call that what? Money supply. Money supply. Now what is happening? This money supply, what is happening? It's reducing. It is reducing. Right? Hold on. It is reducing. Now you see guys, there is a difference, right? There is a difference. There is a difference, right? When Zaid had this pack of money, was he powerful? He is powerful because he can use this money to buy out products, right? To buy out products. Now, the money supply reduces. Someone takes it. Who is that someone? Shukri Salman, right? Takes it. Now, is he powerful? He is not powerful. Ate mokut ne. Right? He is not at all powerful. Right? So, people, now what you have to understand, sit, brother. Thank you very much. I'll give the money. Don't worry. Okay? So, now, this money supply impact mokad. Hear me out. Don't talk for God's sake. Huh? First, we learn something called what? Money supply. What is money supply? This is basically notes and coins circulating in the economy. Circulating in the economy kya people's hand. Right? People's hand. The first situation, Zaid had money. Correct me? He had money. So you can word it as money supply being what? High. Money supply being high. Correct me? What I'm saying is correct. Yes? Money supply being high. Now when the money supply was high, people, was he powerful? Did he have the power to purchase? So can I term it as high purchasing power? Yes or no? Yes, ne? So when there is money, what happens to purchasing power? Purchasing power increases. In other words, cut here, power to purchase goods and services increases. Power to purchase goods and services increases. Now, when the purchasing power increases, what will happen to the demand? Will it increase or decrease? It will increase. What will happen to demand? Demand will increase. There will be increase in demand. Right? There will be an increase in demand. There will be an increase in demand. Make it clear? Make it clear? Now the other side of the story. What happens? The current situation of Zaid, money supply is what? People, money supply is low. Now when the money supply is low, what happens to purchasing power? Decreases. Purchasing power decreases. In other words, power to purchase goes down big time. Power to purchase goes down big time. What will happen to the demand? Decrease in demand. That is the final outcome. Clear with this? Clear with both the sides? Clear? Ne? Online students, are you clear? Can you drop a message fast? Is this clear? Online students, clear? Fine, awesome. Okay, now both the sides are explained. What's the final outcome, people? There is increase in demand, and the other outcome could be what? There can be a decrease in demand. Now you might be wondering, now what are you trying to tell to this world? Right? What am I trying to tell to this world, guys? Let me explain it to you. It takes a bit of time, but it's okay. I rather explain with the logic versus giving you half-baked explanation. So now we are going to learn bit of economics. We are going to learn bit of economics so that you understand the logic. Just to kind of, show you how things work in the market, right? Price and quantity. Demand is something that will take place from seller's end or buyer's end. seller or buyer? Demand. Buyer ne? Consumer. Buyer. Consumer. Hear me out. Don't think about anything. Demand is from buyer. The demand curve is always what? Downward sloping. Demand curve is what? Downward sloping. Why guys? Let me explain the logic. At a high price, people will not prefer to buy a lot. But at a low price, people will prefer to buy a lot. That's how consumers work, right? At a high price එක කියමුකෝ මෙතන කියලා, right? මේ price point එක හිතන්නකෝ මේක 100යි කියලා 100, right? Quantity, this one can be let's say 20. Now let's say at a low price, right? Let's say this is 50, quantity can be let's say 60, right? So people, what's the conclusion? Metana, price and quantity demand. When the price is high, quantity is low. When the price is low, quantity is high. That's how consumers work. Obviously, no cut here. Normal days, shop will be empty. 75% off. Right? Price is aduna. That's how consumers work. High price, quantity will be what? Low. Low price, single. Asian consumers are the masters of it, actually speaking, because we give a damn only about what? Price. Our marketeer is talking about we are being socially responsible, ethically, principality, on a red duck, right? Price yeah, simple as that. Now people, let's talk about the other side, which is the supply. Supply is from whose end? Seller. Make a price, make a quantity. Now supply curve will be what? Upward sloping. Why supply curve is upward sloping? Let me show that illustration. At a high price, we will be willing to supply what? High quantity. At a low price, willingness to supply will be what? Low. Just think like a seller. As a seller, at a high price, we will be willing to supply high quantity. At a low price, our willingness to supply will be what? Low. Because we as sellers, we want to make what? Money. So when there is a high price, supply. When there is a low price, I will not supply. Simple as that. So this is how the supply curve works. Clear? Clear? Now people, what am I going to do? I'm bringing the diagram, right? What is this axis? Price. What is this axis? Quantity. Now, what is this curve? Demand curve. What is this curve? Supply curve. Now you have a point here. At this point, there is what? A price. You call this price what? Market price. Every product will have a market price. What's the market price? We use it as a term. The market price no. They will look at what? Demand and supply. These days, one coconut, rupiah, desi 200 only. Right? 200 only. I'm not trolling. I'm a fan of this current government, right? But that's the situation, guys, where the supply is low. Right? When the supply is low, when the supply is minimal, the price will be what? High. Right? So don't oversupply yourself. You will lose the value. Limit your supply. එතකොට තමයි අර ගැම්ම තියෙන්නේ. සමහර කට්ටිය 24/7 දෙනවනේ. I mean time එක. Right? So coming back to the topic, people, this is known as what? Market price. Clear? Clear? Yes. Online students, are you clear until this point? Online students, are you clear until this point? ටක් ගාලා confirm කරන්න ඕනේ. Yes or no? Yes. Awesome. Perfect. Fine. එතකොට කට්ටිය, now I am going to take that situation. What is the situation? Increase in demand, right? Increase in demand. I will name it as D2, D1. Harida, people, in terms of economics and the real analysis, right? When there is an increase in demand, demand curve will shift to right. Demand curve will shift to what? Right. Ethota follow me, right? I mean, not me. What is in the board? Right? What is in the board? Demand curve, increase in demand, demand curve should shift to right. So this demand curve, I'm shifting it to right. So let me shift it to right. D1. Shift kara. Shift kar le varai. එතකොට අලුත් point එක not this නේ. Correct no? Not this. What's the new point? New point is this. Now people, what happened to the prices? What happened to the prices? Increase. This price increase, you call it what? Increase in price, you call it what? Inflation. Inflation. Increase in price, you call it inflation. Right? So demand curve shifted to right. What happened to the prices? There was an increase in price. You call this what? Inflation. Inflation. Right? Now the other situation. What is the other situation? Decrease in demand. එතකොට ළමයි, my dear smart kiddos, 2K kiddos, latest kiddos, trendy kiddos, modern kiddos, it goes on. Answer. When the demand increases, demand curve should shift to right. When the demand decreases, demand curve should shift to left. Demand curve should shift to left. So this demand curve, I'm shifting it to what? Left. D2 කියලා දැම්මා. හරිද? So here I will name it as what? D2, D2. එතකොට what's the new point now? What happened to the prices? Prices decrease. You call this what? Deflation. එතකොට what's the conclusion? When the demand decreased, it led to a decrease in price. A decrease in price. You call it deflation. You call it what? Deflation. Right? Deflation. Simple as that. Now people, do you see? When the demand increases, it leads to what? Increase in price. When the demand decreases, it leads to what? Decrease in price. Logically proven ne? Logically correct ne? Logically correct. Now price increasing, price decreasing. Right? Is it good or bad? Good or bad? Bad. Why? Which goal is not being achieved? Price stability. We learned under macroeconomic goals, there is a goal which is known as what? Price stability. Now when the prices are kind of market conditions again, can people plan it out? I mean expenses. No. Right? So people, what happens is, when there is, changes in demand, this condition leads to government not achieving an objective. You call it what? Price stability. Price stability. Clear? Clear? Right? So now answer. Price stability is not achieved. Why? Prices increase or decrease. Price increase or decrease because demand increases or decreases. Demand is increasing or decreasing because there is increase or decrease in what? Purchasing power. Purchasing power is increasing or decreasing because money supply is high or low. So what's the primary factor that is leading to increase in demand and decrease in demand? Money supply. මේක තමයි මම කියන්න බං. The conclusion. What's the primary factor? Money supply. Money supply is the culprit. That leads to what? Increase in price and decrease in price. Right? මම එතකොට classic example එකක් කියන්නම්කෝ. අපේ country where central bank governor, he was being tagged on social media. Even I tagged and I kind of recommended a lecturer to follow economics under him. You will learn economics and kind of implement policies. Harak Pishek. Right? Because of him only the prices have gone up big time. What did that idiot do? Former central bank governor during the economic crisis. Now government didn't have money. Harida. That Pulburua printed money. Now when the government prints money, millions and billions, money supply will increase. Now when money supply increases, purchasing power, demand, prices increases. Now Sri Lanka faced what? Hyperinflation, machan. Not inflation. Hyperinflation. Our inflation rate was 117% plus. එතකොට I buy this marker for 100 කියන්නකෝ. Today. Tomorrow I go to buy the marker. They say 250 rupees. 250 rupees. Why? Money supply was the reason. So people, now, will you agree with me if I say, right? Therefore, government should control what? Money supply. So to control money supply tamai, government uses what? Hence uses monetary policy. Hence uses what? Monetary policy. So people, hear me out. government uses monetary policy in order to control what? Money supply. So they kind of implement monetary policy using whom? Central Bank of Sri Lanka. So cut here, to implement monetary policy, government will appoint Central Bank of Sri Lanka. They bring in the monetary policy to control the money supply. This is just the basics. 1% of that chapter. This is just the 1% of the entire chapter. That's why I told you. Just two sides. Ah, sir, body chapter right? I don't think I will be able to complete this chapter today. Because if I am to properly explain, within 3 minutes I can complete, but let's do it properly with the logic. So you study only once. You remember until the exam.